What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Savvy Podcast. It's your favorite host, Ari Weiss, alongside combat sport expert Big Rich Fulgoni. And today we'll be discussing UFC Fight Night, Oliveira versus Gamrot that went down Saturday night in Rio. Then we'll deep dive the lightweight division and analyze what's next for Oliveira and lightweight champ Topuria. In standard Savvy fashion, we'll go through the card, break down all the big fights, and analyze what's next for the winning fighters. So with that, let's go straight to the card and get rolling. Okay, baby, UFC Fight Night, Oliveira versus Gamrot went down Saturday night in Rio. Listen, overall, I didn't love the card. I thought the co-main was kind of lackluster. There wasn't enough rankings on the card, but the main event did deliver as far as rankings go, right? Because you got Oliveira, you got Gamrot, both in the top 10. And the big question was, how does Charles rebound after the big knockout, especially with the pressures of being in the hometown crowd of Rio? How would he rebound? And also, Gamrot coming short notice, 2.5 weeks. It was supposed to be for Zeev. Gamrot stepped in. He looked like he was in shape, and he still got like almost a full 3-week camp. I thought he would be fine. Not the case. Oliveira delivers. He's back. Pereira delivered last weekend. Oliveira came through. So let's just check out the fight really quickly, Richie. Charles, number 4 in the world. Gamrot, number 8 in the world. Gamrot took a chance to step in, but it was a big chance to get in that top 5. And man, let's just talk about the fight, and I'll let you jump in. First round, Gamrot does go for the takedown, but Charles was having none of it, bro. It was like instantly. He had him in a shoulder lock. He was messing with his legs. His BJJ looked better than it ever had. It looked like what he should have done when Islam took him down or when Arman took him down. Gamrot couldn't do anything. He kept flipping him. He nullified the wrestling, and he almost got a couple submissions, and Gamrot had to survive. And then you go to the second round, and it looked like Gamrot was tired. It looked like he wasn't in shape. It looked like, as you said, Richie, he was kind of smaller. It looked like he was almost outsized by Oliveira. And then Charles goes forward. He's like a killer in the second round. He basically gets an easy takedown. He picks Gamrot up. I'm like, where's Gamrot's wrestling and grappling? He's never been manhandled like that. Wally was pissed because that was my pick, baby. And next thing you know, rear naked choke. It was over. I'm shocked Charles is back and in a big way. And just in that 3-month turnaround from the knockout, so impressive. He's got the most submission wins and most stoppages ever in UFC history. And now he's back in maybe a title shot discussion. What do you say here, Richie boy?
Yeah, man, it's a really impressive win by Bronx. You know, my pick hit, so obviously I was ecstatic taking one off you and Nico in the main event. Back-to-back main event picks for your boy. But man, the reception from that crowd was incredible. It wasn't necessarily crazy all night, but once he stepped into the building, I mean, I was getting goosebumps thinking back to that reception you saw at the open workout when he came down the elevator like a boss. And it's just, you know, he's never lost in Rio. I thought you guys were pretty bold to pick against him considering that. However, to your point, the Topuria fight, the knockout, you know, short turnaround, you know, there's a lot of risk there for him too. But, you know, at 35 years of age, right, he's still got some fights left in him. And I think he could still maybe even take, you know, one more run at the belt. It's going to get kind of interesting to see what happens, you know, in the division. But man, really impressive performance. Gamrot did seem to look a little bit smaller than him at the end of the day. He just kind of bullied him a little bit. It was kind of like what we saw the previous week with Pereira. He just came across the ring. He didn't really seem concerned about what was coming back from him punch wise. And to your point, on the ground, his jiu-jitsu looked really sharp. He looked bigger. He looked long with the legs. You know, he was able to get those body triangles in there, locked both rounds, had his back. And I don't know whether that was a neck crank or a choke or a little bit of both, but he got it in deep, and that was just really impressive. So Bronx, you know, the former champion has his name, and his name is Charles Oliveira, and he's back, man. He's not out of the division race, and we'll see what happens here.
And the last thing I want to say is one thing I've forgotten is because you know I'm all about the crowd noise recently, and I keep talking about Paris. I will say in that main event, the crowd went ballistic. They were chanting like the loudest chant I've almost ever heard. I don't know if it was there all night, though. I wanted a little bit more of it all night, but at least they brought it. And now I'm thinking, wow, Rio is up there for one of the best crowds, if you will. They were going nuts when he had Gamrot in trouble. Okay, so The big thing that we always do at Savvy is we instantly look at what is next. That's what everybody wants to know. Is Charles back in title contention? Okay, let's look at the lightweight division. Let's break this down because there's actually a lot to be angry about, baby. I'm going to be going after Dana here. It's like, where are the damn bookings? You still have Topuria. He beat Charles back in June. It's how many months later and he's not booked yet? There's rumors that he might fight Gaethje in January. It was kind of Paddy or Gaethje or Armin for a while, right? And now it's looking like it's floating towards Gaethje. That's what I'm seeing online. Don't count the Paddy fight out, but we know finally Armin is booked against Hooker because he was probably sick of waiting. They fight at the end of November in Qatar. And then the only other booking that you have is Darius St. Denis, 9 versus 13. That will be MSG. Islam's still here, which doesn't make any sense. Move the guy to welterweight, but I think until he has the welterweight fight officially, or until you realize he's not going to take lightweight fights anymore, they might keep him there. The only other guy hovering is Max. He's also been sitting there, and I think this is what I like, Richie. Now that we know that Armin is booked against Hooker, I like Topuria Gaethje because Gaethje has the balls to get in there. He's the only one with the power that can match a Topuria that will throw bombs, okay? And that will be an amazing fight. I wish they could do it in December. I'm pissed about this damn January crap. In the meantime, let Paddy fight Max. I like that fight. It's a great top contender fight because you can't give Max Topuria right away because he got finished too recently. But now Charles is back in the mix because he didn't take much damage. And there's talks that he might want to fight Max, but then Paddy needs a fight. So I don't like that log jam, but we need answers. What do you say here, baby?
Yeah, man, it's all kind of screwed up there at the top of the division. And I think one of the things that screws it up is we saw that face off with Ilya and Paddy, right? So, you see the marketability of a massive super fight, international super fight like that. And, they had that beef, that earlier beef from the hand sanitizer bottle toss, at a previous behind the scenes thing, right? So
yes.
They don't like
yes.
each other. It's palatable. And so there's real beef there. But I kind of lean to agree with you. I think Gaethje might be next, and it's going to be a banger of a fight, right? 2 knockout artists. Gaethje has proven to get himself knocked out before, so it's a little risky for him. But, he wants to fight for the belts again. He's made that very clear, and almost so clear to the point that he might even retire if they don't give him an option. So maybe this is more towards what we've discussed a little bit with Dana, kind of rewarding some of these company guys that have been, just top level superstars for the sport and always game, always ready to take a fight on short notice. You saw them reward Jose Aldo with that little ring walk, and for him to do a proper retirement at home in Rio, which I thought was a really classy touch. So it seems like they're starting to pay attention to that. So maybe along that vein, Justin does get the fight. But I think Paddy would be a great matchup too. I could easily see Charles and Max fighting, if Max doesn't that fight that you're discussing. So it's going to be interesting. I think the big wrench though is Islam, right? You mentioned it earlier. He's still in those rankings, and there's a strong possibility if he goes up there and has major trouble with JDM and kind of gets either outstruck or, is not able to take him down and loses in any kind of a dominant fashion, he could pop right back down into this division. You know what I mean? So it could really screw things up.
True.
So, but to your point, I want to see it booked. At least book the Ilya fight. If it's Gaethje, if it's Paddy, let's book that in January, the launch of the new Paramount deal, and get things moving, and then all the dominoes will kind of start to fall from there. But I do not like these trends of guys like Ilya, who's already not fighting frequently, and now we've got Chimaev with a belt, not fighting frequently. I don't want to see these guys fight once, twice a year. At the minimum, 2 times a year, I want to see active champions. So hopefully they get this fight booked soon, and then we start to see that logjam, break up.
Yeah, I think speaking of the Paramount deal, that's why I like Topuria Gaethje, because they're assuming Topuria's probably going to do it. And it's this good style fight for him because Gaethje will stay up and throw hands, right? And it'll be very entertaining. And then Topuria, if he wins, his star rises. And then if Pimblett can come in and beat Max, which they're maybe assuming, but it's hard to say with Max because he beat Gaethje and he beat Poirier, and now he's a real contender. But I think they're thinking that Paddy needs one more fight. They don't want to maybe risk giving him Topuria now. What if Topuria knocks him out in 1 round and then their big money fight for 2026 is off the table? So I think it's Topuria Gaethje, give Pimblett Holloway, and then you create by mid-2026, maybe even the White House card, baby.
Potentially.
You have put Topuria, Pimblett, which becomes maybe even the main event, even though they're not American. Okay, so that is our lightweight analysis. I hope you love the deep dives. at Savvy, because no one does it like us. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the MMA Savvy Podcast, the world's top place for MMA content. If you love these weekly episodes, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're a real MMA enthusiast, check out the old MMA Savvy videos on our page. You might see some UFC legends pop up, such as Nick Diaz, Ronda Rousey, and John Jones. The old channel has been revived, and we couldn't be more excited. So please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast on all of our social channels. We're blasting hard on the talk, we're heavy on the gram, and we're going crazy on the tube. That's at MMA Savvy. And don't forget to check out Richie Boy MMA. That's blowing up too, baby. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, stay savvy, fight fans.